Shai, Mark was in here just saying very emphatically, like, despite the 43 points, the third quarter was a defensive quarter. And that was what turned the tide of the game. What did you guys discuss at halftime in terms of ways that you could really amp it up on that end?
Yeah, playing to our identity was like coach's main message. He felt like we weren't who we have been all season for the most part in those first two quarters. And he wanted us to understand that where we are in this league, teams are going to come out and throw their best punch at us because they respect us, but also because they know that if they don't, that it could get ugly. But long story short, he wanted to get across that we have to throw our best punch too, no matter the circumstances, and not wait to turn it on like we did tonight. And luckily we didn't learn the message the hard way, but it's a learning curve, and I think we did a good job of getting the car back on the road. But his message was for a 48 game.
And Dub, the play that seemed to turn the game really was the steal out top that you had on Randall. You deflected it once, knocked it away, kind of squared up again, and then got it. What's going through your mind on that play? And did you feel like it was a turner for the game?
I think after the play, yeah, I felt like the crowd got into it, but it's just kind of what I be doing. Just try and play hard defensively and just make it difficult. I think defense, you got to take smart gambles, and that was one of them. And yeah, a lot of it is just like end the clock, especially it's really just you versus the guy guarding you, and yeah, you're gonna lose some, and I try to win more than I'm gonna lose those battles. So.
Shai, Isaiah was just in here, talking about his perception of you as a defender before you were teammates. He said he knew you were solid, but he didn't know you cared this much about that. And are you sort of surprised with, the way others are surprised about the way you care about defense? No, that was a lot. Sorry.
No, you're good. Nah, not at all. We have, the way I see it is we have so many, great point of attack defenders on our team that I'm kind of pushed to the back burner. We have Queso, Lou, AC, Dub. That's 4 guys that are excellent on-ball defenders and are better than me at on-ball defense. So I'm not terrible. I'm just not as good at them. And sometimes it might look like I have to be targeted defensively because I'm the weakest link. But I'm not surprised at all. My teammates know, and clearly he's on my team now and now understands. But yeah, I try not to be a liability on that end of the floor. There was a point in time when I was, and I took it personally, and we're here today.
And, you could speak to this. I don't know how many weeks you had in your career where you had 3 40 balls, but just what has this past week felt like for you scoring the ball, getting to your spots, and maybe specifically the third quarter tonight? Just what did that feel like as you were going through it?
I feel like I'm flowing. The game's just coming. I'm not pressing, not thinking, just out there hooping. And the hard work's paying off. So I just got to keep working, keep putting my best foot forward. There could be a week from now where I struggle. There could be a week from now where I play even better than this. Regardless, I got to put my best foot forward and keep trying to get better, and I'm going to do so.
Shai, I was talking to Ant over there and asked him about you, and he said he's the MVP. And talked about how much he enjoys not just competing against you, but watching you play, the way that you play the game. What's your reaction to hearing that sort of thing from a guy who is at his level and obviously is a rival?
Yeah, it's a really good feeling. No offense to you guys in the media, but the best satisfaction is when your peers and the guys that do the same thing for a living at a very high level that you do recognize and respect your craft and your talent. That's a really good feeling. Obviously, the caliber player he is, sky's the limit. hard-fought battle tonight. But feels really good.
Dub, you guys just had your 13th game forcing 20 or more turnovers this year. You had 12 last year. And, excuse me. A lot of people would attribute before the season, would have attributed the rising defense to the additions of Ihart and Caruso, but both of those guys have missed huge chunks of the season so far. Chet has missed a huge chunk of the season so far. You guys are on pace to surpass every defensive mark from last year, which was a good defensive team. What would you give some of those attributes to being better this year?
Everybody's older on our team, so we kind of know what to expect. Just as far as like, what year is this Queso, 2? Yeah, like Queso's in his second year, so he's had a whole year and up until now to be able to guard who he was guarding last year, so he has more knowledge about defense. Obviously, Lou's getting old. Like, we're just getting older as a team, so we kind of understand what's expected of us and how we need to play on a nightly basis. This is year 3 for me. Like, I'm starting to understand it more and more and how effective I can be on that end, and everybody's probably getting a lot more comfortable with that. And then I think, like you said, like those guys missing big chunks makes us play harder, and that's kind of like the product of it. Trying to maintain that while they're out, and then I think everybody kind of gets a little excited too, because it's like, if we can do this and they're not even playing, like, it makes you play harder for when they get back.
And then Shai, look at the box score. Queso 1 of 8, and like the 5 still stands out, which is a career high for him. But you look at the box score, like nothing really just like stands out. But he felt like he had a great game. Just talk about the things that he does on the floor that goes unnoticed, that doesn't show on the box score.
Yeah, that's who Queso is. He makes all the 50-50 plays. Obviously, who he is defensively. He's aggressive offensively, and he never wavers. That's the trick to this whole thing. Like, no matter what is going on for you personally and for the team, you not wavering and being as consistent as you can be for yourself, and then also for the other 4 guys on the court with you, helps us ultimately understand and know what he's going to bring to the table every night. And he does that at a very high level, and that's why he affects the game at the way he does. But, Case and Wallace night, typical. He makes shots. It's a wrap, but he does what he needs to do to help us win. He does it every night, and that doesn't go unnoticed in our locker room.
I would think that third quarter, defense did key things, but I would think your shots were falling. Explain to the novice how that works, how your defensive intensity, shots you were missing the first half suddenly start falling in that third quarter. And some of them were tough shots. They weren't all just run-out dunks.
Yeah, there's always an energy behind the ball, like, kind of spiritually. Like, there's always a vibe, and when you're doing the right things on the floor, usually the ball works out. When you're playing the right way, for us, it's playing fast, it's being aggressive, it's playing in rhythm for all 5 guys out there. Like, it might not go in right now, but it's going to click because it's natural, it's flowing, and it's on rhythm. And I think that's what you guys saw. We were a little bit stagnant, slower, and not getting as many stops, which was the product of us being slower. And once we kind of picked up the pace, played to our strengths, as all 5 of us out there, the ball started going in the hoop.
Over the course of Lou's career, Shai, he's taken a lot of leaps just as a shooter, and I think a lot of people focus that most as his offensive development. But just overall, aside from the shooting, because that's just sort of the most eye-popping thing, where have you seen the most growth from Lou offensively?
Offensively, his decision-making, he has become a great play-on-the-catch guy. Like, he understands shoot, drive, pass at a very high level, and because of that, it makes our offense flow, and he can plug in so many lineups offensively. Obviously, what he does defensively is special, and is the world to us. But offensively, he's helped make the game easier for guys like myself, just because he makes a quick play, the right play, more times than not. He plays really fast very often. But yeah. It's Lou Dort. He works hard, trusts the process, humble guy, looks in the mirror, and because of that, he's going to get better every year.
Two more. We're with Joel and then Gallagher. Wrap it up.
Dub, it felt, well, first we've talked about in recent weeks just your ongoing conversations with officials, how frustrated you are. After that challenge, whatever the ruling was there, that was when you had to stop on Randall. It felt like from then on, you were ripping people, not to say that your defensive intensity wasn't there before then, but it felt like something changed in you then. Is it fair to maybe say that, in these ongoing conversations with officials, you're using parts of the game as like outlets for you?
And just stop worrying about what they're doing. Yeah, that's it. It wasn't like, I don't think I really had like an increase in my defensive like approach to it, but it's kind of just like they called it already. Play's over. They looked at it. They saw something. So it was just like next play, playing a good team. And we have a stretch of teams that are all going to be playoff teams and deep run playoff teams. So it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, I have to go switch on to Ant or guard Julius Randle or close out on whoever. So it's kind of just like a next play thing and just playing hard and still trying to get stops.
Go. Wrap it up.
Dub, you have 30 assists already to Isaiah Hartenstein this season. That's the third most between any combo on the team. And I just wonder if you can shed any light on maybe the approach that you guys took in training camp to build connection, or maybe, I don't know, any study that you did leading into the season or over the last month or so. Just what would have been some keys to make that connection be so fruitful already?
I wouldn't really say training camp too much. But, yeah, more just like film sessions have been like a big one. He does a good job of like talking on the court too. And, yeah, we're just spamming the hell out of the pick and roll. So that's a lot of it. Just trying to figure it out. This is a good time in the season to like trying to figure it out and figure out where he's going to be. But I would attribute that a lot to like maybe like shooting days where we're like at practice and it's kind of like one of those, we have like shorter practices or something, we'll like have like breakdown and we'll try and figure out what each other wants to do and yeah, just film. And then you still got to go out there and just try stuff, and we get that space here with the coaching staff to just go out there and make mistakes, and more times than not we're going to come away with the right play or kind of get something. I think we had like a floater and 2 lobs at some point. So yeah, just trying to figure it out, especially because Chet's not here yet too, so I have good chemistry with Chet, so if I can build that with both of them over the course, I think it'll be harder to guard us down the stretch.
Joel had one more.
For either of you guys, maybe you guys have seen him sooner than we have, but this felt like the first time we've seen Chet without crutches. I guess what is it like for you guys seeing him without crutches progressing daily?
Yeah, it's encouraging. It's exciting. Today he came in the locker room and said that he's ready to go through shoot around with us. Typical Chet Holmgren. But yeah, it's amazing. I can't imagine the game being taken from you like that. And it's so unfortunate, and you can't control it. So many things go into the game. And for him to be on his way back, I can only imagine how it feels. And to see that smile on his face again it's very exciting. It's also very exciting to know that he is on his way back, and we're going to be an even better basketball team.
Yeah, he's had a good attitude about it the whole time too, which makes it more exciting for him to come back. So, yeah.
Isaiah, that third quarter just seemed like it completely turned the tide of the game. What did it feel like out there on the floor as you guys just continue to feed off each other?
Felt good. I think coming out at halftime, we knew we weren't playing the way we should. So we wanted to come out, pick up the intensity. It kind of started also with me. I think I was too far back on Ant's screens, and so I was putting Lou in a difficult situation. So I think just in general as a team, I think we came out and we were just being more aggressive, playing more our style, passing the ball, pushing the ball up the floor in transition. I think in the first half we had 0 transition points, and we're kind of playing more into their hand. And so we just wanted to come out, play aggressive, push the ball, and pick up the pace.
That's one of the best defensive teams in the league so far this season over there. And in the second half, seemed like not only the defense, offense, but Shai was just getting the spots anywhere he wanted. What did you
that's
notice?
the MVP right there. So.
Yeah. What did you notice about the way He attacked.
I mean, it's the MVP. I mean, there were some times. I mean, I didn't think he was open, but he somehow got to his spot. Somehow, I mean, it wasn't like he was just shooting easy ones. He was coming off, taking middies over Rudy Gobert and cashing it. But yeah, he's been great. And it's like weird. It feels like he's not forcing it. That's the weird thing. It's like he's still doing it in a team way. He's not going out there thinking about himself. He's going out there trying to help the team, and he's still getting 40 without forcing it. I think that's the most impressive part, and that's why I think he should be the MVP this year. It should be clear he's number one in the West. Even this last couple games, I don't know what he's averaging. I think it's like 40 or something. And again, it's not forcing, and it's efficient 40. So he's been great for us on both sides of the court. And I think that's what's been making him special is he's also doing it on the defensive end. And so, yeah.
Jay, you mentioned your own coverage on Ant, like your involvement, but he went 5 for 5 in the second quarter. Then in the second half, he doesn't take a shot in the third. He goes 1 for 5 in the fourth. What changed as far as like team scheme, just the general way you guys started defending him?
Again, being more aggressive with him, making him get off the ball. Again, I kind of said it before. Lou did a great job in the first half of getting him over the screen, but I was just too far back. And so I think just in the second half, I was trying to be more aggressive, help Lou out. And after that, I think we're such a good rotation team. I think it was hard for anyone to really get going.
And then Rudy, I don't know if you line up with a lot of defenders like that, or have to this point this season. I guess, what'd you make of the back and forth between you and him? And I guess you had this like reaction to the play in the fourth quarter, the block on him.
I mean, he keeps trying to dunk on me, so I don't know. It hasn't worked out so far. But no, he's a great defender. I mean, he's a guy that you have to kind of play a little different around. I mean, try to get him more out the paint. I mean, he's one of the best rim protectors in the league. So just trying to get him out the paint, move him a little bit. And, yeah, I think we did a good job of that tonight. Offensive rebounds is big for him. So for me, it's just trying to keep him off the glass too. And, yeah.
Mark was talking about the commitment on the defensive end being a difference between last year and this year. I know you weren't here last year, but from your point of view, can you just talk about the commitment that you guys have made on that side of the ball?
Again, I think it starts with Shai and Dub. I think when your top two players on your team are playing high-level defense, I think we all just buy in. I mean, we have an all-defensive player and Lou out there the whole time. I think other guys are really good on defense too, so I think we just all buy in. We're all committed to helping each other out, and I think that's what makes it special. I think our rotations are really good. On a lot of different teams, you kind of have sometimes like 4 guys on a string defensively, and maybe like one guy will fall asleep, and so I don't think we really have that. I think Mark gives us a lot of freedom to play a defense how we want to, and I think we do a great job of just rotating, helping guys out.
Mark has paired you and Dub a lot in some of these second units.
Mm-hmm.
Dub was in here earlier in the year. He talked about in training camp that the chemistry was just kind of sort of just, I don't know, at first sight sort of thing between you guys. Where do you think that's developed the most, because you guys had a few different connections tonight?
I mean, I think it's still building. I mean, I think we're building every game. I mean, I don't know how many games been. I think it's like 17 games so far. But I think we've been doing a great job together. I mean, I think I still have to do a little better job of getting him open, getting him easier looks at times. But I mean, he's been finding me, giving me easy buckets. I didn't really know that coming in, how good of a playmaker he is. I mean, I think I caught maybe 2 lobs last year, and I think some games I've caught 4 just from him. So it just him playmaking, giving me easy looks has been great. But I think sometimes I've got to do a better job getting him easier looks too.
And then you mentioned it's only been about 17 games, hasn't even been 20 yet. And, the sample size is different because you haven't obviously played with Chet yet, which you were expecting. But when you signed, a lot of fans were kind of looking at a matchup like this, like even before the Cat trade, as one of the major reasons of bringing you in. Have things with the team so far been what you sort of expected?
Yeah, it's been great. It's a great organization. I think even from off the court stuff, Sam has done a great job of just welcoming my family, and that's been super important to me. And then also on the court, it's been super easy. The guys play the right way. The guys play great defense, and I still think I can keep taking another step. And I think that's something that's really exciting for me, is just Mark also sees I can take another step, and I think that's what I'm going to keep striving for.
Zay, you mentioned the buy-in from Shai as a defender. I don't know how you viewed him as a defender before you played with him, but are you surprised by the level of care he puts into the end?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I kind of knew he was a solid defender before, but to do it on both ends of the court takes a lot of energy. And it don't matter how good a defender you are, if you have such a load on offense, sometimes players take off on defensively, and I think he doesn't do it, and I think that's the most impressive part, just seeing on a daily basis. It's not like sometimes he'll play defense, sometimes not. Every game he's making the right rotation, making the hustle plays, and I think that's been super impressive for me to see on a daily basis.
You noticed just about kind of the compounding nature of what happened out there in the third quarter and the way you guys were able to roll things up possession after possession.
Well, we talked at halftime. We thought we played the first half kind of on their terms in the game. The game was at their tempo. They were the more physical team on both ends of the floor. We didn't play with great force on offense. They beat us to balls, and the game was in their rhythm. And what changed in the third was the defensive pressure. We obviously were able to get pace in the game, but the last two games, the reason we've had pace is because of the way we've defended. And it was top to bottom. Everybody that touched the floor in that quarter, 9 guys I think played, really brought the juice. And I just thought great course correction by the team in game to kind of recognize game's not going the way we want. We don't want to be talking about it tomorrow at practice. We want to be talking about it in the game and get it on the road, and I thought we did a great job of that.
You just continue to have these moments of passing where the extra pass comes up the sideline, or the lob goes into JDub, he kicks it right back out to Shai, Hart to Wiggins on the back door. Are you seeing these moments of connection between the team just grow more and more as the season's gone along?
Yeah, and I think there's some fundamental things that the guys have done a great job of committing to that are allowing that to happen. Ball movement's not just like the intent to move the ball. You have to have outlets. You have to have open people. The reads have to be clean in order to try to create that kind of rhythm. And so there's parts to the offense that stack up to that the guys have been committed to and that we've worked hard at to try to improve. And I thought that showed up on a lot of possessions the last 2 or 3 games.
Mark, what did you see from Shai specifically in that third quarter and maybe what he did to the offense?
I just thought collectively we did a great job of just being on the gas, feeding off of our defensive pressure. The third quarter was a defensive quarter. I just want to be perfectly clear on that. What changed in that quarter was the pressure 1 through 5 on the ball, the will and the energy. Our output on that end of the floor was the catalyst in that quarter, and then that allowed us to get the game going faster, share the ball, play with aggression. Shai did that, but everybody that went in the game did that.
And just on a similar note, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but Shai was in here about a month ago saying that, after the Dallas series, he reflected and he wanted to put his teammates in better position for the postseason. In season, with the way he played, the way he moved. Have you seen that as of late?
I'm never with him. All of his improvement has been gradual, consistent, and compounding in nature. So it's never like an epiphany moment. He just grows consistently in every part of his game and his life. And what you're referring to is leadership. And he's grown as a leader consistently over time. He's used all of his experiences to do that, but he's been on that path for a long time. This wasn't like the first time he's thought about it. From the first time that we traded those guys and he kind of had the ball for the first time in his career, he's had to grow into that role, and he continues to do that just like in every other part of his game. One of his best qualities is his humility to look in the mirror and constantly look to improve. He never sits on his successes. He always wants to get better.
13th game this season, forcing 20 or more turnovers. You had 20 last year. You guys are on pace to pass every defensive mark from last year's good defensive team. A lot of people would, on paper, attribute that before the season to the additions of iHeart and Caruso, but you missed iHeart and Caruso and Chet for huge chunks of this season. What would you attribute the improvement on defensive end to this year?
The commitment of the player. At the end of the day, there's invisible things that don't get a lot of love or attention that if you want team success and you want to win, you commit to those things. And we've got guys that are committed to that. Everybody that plays is committed to that. And it's not perfect all the time. And we're not in a constant state of that. In the first half, we weren't at our best on either end of the floor. But we have such guys that, they'll look in the mirror at halftime of that game and say, okay, we don't want the game to go this way. And then they put the energy in and the effort in. They do it together. And it's really just that simple. There's no magic potion for it.
I forgot what exactly you called the line when you were talking about the Rockets earlier this season, that they never dip below that line, whatever you called it. You guys also are a similar team that when you guys get below that line, it's not for too long on the defensive end. What would you attribute that to?
The commitment of the guys. They're committed to the invisible things that help the team win. The ball pressure doesn't get you a lot of attention, and so many of those things on that end of the floor are subtle, and you only are committed to them if you're committed to the team and you're committed to team success, and we have a group of guys that are committed to that, and as a result of that, there's a contagiousness around that. They feed off of each other. I thought that's what happened in the third. There was a little bit of a spark, and then it turned into a fire for us.
You mentioned leadership earlier with Shai. There were some points in the game in the third quarter where Conley makes those 2 threes. He banks in the second one where things could really unravel for a team. How much of this team do you think is just helped by Shai's sort of cool, calm, and collected just sort of demeanor? Because it seems like he doesn't get rattled sort of either way, good or bad.
We always talk about the leader's the person doing the right thing. He, absolutely great poise, great internal confidence. There's a contagiousness to both of those things in the team. But Cason Wallace is a second-year player, and the look on his face and the way he competes, you'll never know the score of a game. He's the same guy. Dort is the same guy. Cameron Williams goes in the game, same guy. Isaiah Joe was, outscored. We outscored them by 20 points, I think, tonight in 12 minutes, and he will not bat an eye at that. He's the same guy, and that's top to bottom. And so it's not, I understand, Shai is a great player, and I think Shai's a great player, and I think he's going to be a great leader. I think he's growing into a great leader, but the leader's the person doing the right thing. That comes top to bottom on the roster, and that has a compounding effect. It has a contagious effect. That's where we want the leadership to come from.
You got some steals, and I think a lot of people, they talk about Jalen Williams-Dub, that when Shai goes to the bench, he takes over the offense, but he had some steals tonight that really kind of, slowed their momentum up. Cason Wallace, I remember when I first asked you about him now 2 years ago, you said Ed Reed.
Yeah.
And he kind of has he gets in guys' shirts and just takes the ball. Talk about just the mental toughness and just the fact those guys can get in there. It's not always about scoring. It's just what they do, what has to be done to protect the lead or to take a lead.
Yeah, they love to compete. When they start to sense, Cason had one tonight, ball pressure and Conley. Dub had the one on Randall tonight where, it got deflected, and that was a 4-effort play. They love to compete, and they get energy from that. And like I said, it has a contagious effect inside the team. They all relate to that when they see it, and it gives the team energy. And I thought the third quarter tonight was a great example of that.
What did you make of Cason's game, just in general, the way he impacted both ends?
It was the air ball was my fault. He made that clear in the game. I'd like to take responsibility for that publicly. And otherwise, he was awesome. That one was on me. But yeah, he was big time, and just the ability to have Lou on Edwards, which most teams are going to put their main guy on Edwards. To have a guy of his quality to guard Conley, to pressure the ball with DiVincenzo, is a huge luxury for us. And offensively, he's growing and growing and growing. He's still a second-year player. He's got a long way to go. He's got a lot of growth in front of him. But yeah, he's an impressive player.
The sample size with Kenrich is getting a little bit larger now that he's back. What has it been like to have him back? It seems like he's playing some good basketball, and tonight really going small changed the game a little bit.
Yeah, it did. I think he's playing with a lot of bite right now, and he plays system basketball on both ends of the floor. So when he's out there, everything else runs well. He enhances his teammates with the way that he plays, and he enhances the overall identity of the team on both ends, and that's what he's bringing. And it's a weapon that we can go to. In games, to put him at the 5 and space people out and bring some defensive energy. So he's done a great job.
Mark, we've talked about Dub's steal average being up in the past. Obviously, we're a good chunk of games in now to where we can really talk about it. I guess I just wonder what's different about the way he attacks the ball from last season, if anything.
The steal, I don't know. The steals are not an end game for us, and the turnovers really are. I always say that, and I swear to God that's true. It's really it's fundamentals. It's awareness of when to be physical and when not to be physical. I thought we did a great job improving on our Indiana game. We had 4 fouls in the fourth quarter within 7 minutes to go, where they were just like a lack of discipline. We're just marching those guys to the line, and we did a great job with our discipline. Tonight, we made those guys make tough shots and contest them without sacrificing physicality, and it's really just that. It's very basic fundamentals. It's not complicated.
And obviously, we've been talking about for a few weeks his sort of conversations with officials, that sort of back and forth that hasn't ended. I guess what have you made of the way he sort of responded after those exchanges in game?
Great. He's like I've said before, he's a growing player. He's third year player. He's not a finished product. He's a great player and he's an impactful player, but he's not a finished product. And the free throw differential early in the season was a big problem for us, in terms of understanding how we could really be the best team we can be. And we're not just going to sit around and blame the officials for that. We've really worked hard to try to improve our defensive fundamentals and not put the officials in a position where they have to blow the whistle on some plays. And we're going to be unrelenting about driving the ball to the basket and attacking the basket and putting pressure on the officials to blow the whistle on the other end. And I thought both of those things showed up tonight. We controlled the free throw differential tonight, which is all we can control. That environment tonight was big time, and I just want to shout out our fans that came to the game tonight. They created an unbelievable environment. Like I said, at Christmas and at the holidays, we really appreciate our fans, and on behalf of our team, I really want to wish everybody a happy, safe New Year. Thank you.